Hello, everybody. Thank you for your response to our second episode regarding building the skills for new normals. In today's context, one of the things that is compelling people to look at their skills is the digitalization. The last 6 months have been the absolute transformation within the IT industry and the way IT has been consumed by different companies. You would almost certainly everybody of you would have received a joke saying that who really drove the digitalization in the company, right? It was not the digital transformation officer per se. It was primarily the COVID which has compelled most of the companies to go digital. The companies who were already going digital were far better prepared for this situation or for this transition. However, typically the SMEs who always wanted to see how things happen with the others and then decide for themselves in terms of digitalization program are all right now compelled to go for this within practically no time. A lot of companies faced challenges when they had to start the production, but the office was closed. So they had no option but to look at people working from home and doing invoicing for them from home itself, right? They had to work with their purchase team to work from home and then buy the necessary material that was required at the plant. The accounting team had to do all the invoice booking, the payment, everything happening from the home. The sales team was compelled to call up people and work with them over a phone and with a digital medium to ensure that they get the orders. How no matter what, people were a lot worried about the transition at the beginning. However, in a very short span of time, the companies were able to ensure that this transition happened. What made people go digital that easily? If you look at the use of technologies like Facebook or WhatsApp, nobody really went about telling people regarding how those applications had to be used. These are something that people started using all of a sudden just because they offered a great degree of convenience. And this degree of convenience was the main driving factor for a lot of youngsters to adapt to technology very easily. And that is what also helped most of the companies to ensure that the younger generation which was into the workforce adapted to this technology far easily, and the digitalization per se in MSME also started on a very positive note with youngsters stepping up to the challenge and they driving the digitalization in a great way. The challenge started coming in when the seniors who were not that comfortable with the technology had to work on things like the year-end closure, the quarter closure. They had to work on all the accounting practices, the management reporting. These are the places wherein the challenges started coming in. The promoters who also got used to this technology much faster found it is perfectly comfortable to use technology for their conversations, dealing with their clients, dealing with their own team. They found out ways to reach out to their people over WhatsApp calls and offer them the comfort while they were at home. The people who were a lot of who had the idea of report being generated only on a paper and everybody coming to them with a piece of paper and then only they would go and review, found it very difficult to adapt to the new normal. And some of these people who found this new way of life not that comforting actually started spreading a lot of negativity around the challenges that were coming in this space. So we have to accept few things upfront here. We need to acknowledge that the digitalization is there for real now. The only way forward in at least next 12 to 18 months is going to be digital. It is going to be very, very difficult for us to have the complete workforce back in office. So for any company to operate successfully in next 12 to 18 months, it is very important for them to go completely digital. While we say it that easily, we understand that it is not going to be that simple for the business owners who have been running their business conventionally, or even the executives who are pretty much used to operating the manual way. So let's understand what are the challenges that these people will be facing and how they can overcome those challenges.
So I'll just give a small example. Start my chat with a small example wherein, if I ask Charu, if I ask you, okay, how do you go to office every day? Can you just tell me?
It's a typical route. I step out of the house, take a specific road to reach out to office 90% of the day. Only on 10% of the day, if I decide, then I cautiously take the other day. But 90% is the same way, stepping out and reaching to the office.
Okay, so can you tell me which route, and then how comfortable you are with that route? Like every day, you must be getting ready at a certain time, getting down at a certain time, taking the car out of your building, right?
Yeah, I'm that comfortable like going to the office that sometimes I actually end up taking that route by default, even if I had to go to the other way around and then I had to remind, right? Stepping out, by default, the body moves into one particular part, moving out of the Kharghar from ISKCON temple, stepping out to the highway, reaching out to the Vashi or then driving to the town, same road all the days.
Perfect. So what if I ask you, what if I tell you that, the day that you have to go to the office again, this is not going to be your route anymore. So because the route from Kargar to Vashi is quite bad and then it's been closed, right? You'll have to take some other route. How would your mind instantly respond to it?
It's going to be a shock because so much used to it. Probably I may actually end up still going out there and then realizing, oh, it's blocked now, so I need to take it, go to the other way. It is otherwise simply pre-programmed.
Right. So that is what we are talking about when we talk about a behavior. So it is like when we are used to certain way of working, certain way of looking, certain perspective that we are having. Okay. At that point of time, everything happens involuntarily. We don't have to think much about what is going to happen now, what is going to happen next. Whether I will just for in your example, whether I'll have to take a left or a right or I have to go straight. There is nothing because the body and mind, both of them are in sync. And then you just steer your car towards that road and then you reach your office. But suddenly if I say you'll have to change your route or, something like that, instantly there is some sort of, exploration which starts. That is what happens because at that point of time, we all have some neural network in our mind. And as and when we start thinking about it, there is a set pattern which actually makes us, follow certain things involuntarily. And our body just responds to it and then our mind just takes it. But when I say there is a sudden change, that is, some voluntary thinking, voluntary change that we are looking for, that is when it becomes very difficult. And the digitalization adaptability that we are talking about right now is somewhat like that. So initially, if I would have given, um, a tier 3 school teacher a mobile and say, sir, would you be interested in taking an online class on this? He would have laughed. And then he would say, ma'am, what are you saying? That is not possible, right? But in this COVID, it actually pushed, each and every person in this world to going digital. And that is more of a involuntary change, adaptability that we looked for. Initially, it was more of, exploring what are the possibilities, what are the things that I could have done. And across the sectors, we have seen there has been a lot of chaos because, sudden, stall and there is no way to go ahead. Then you start exploring for new possibilities. A lot of companies, yes, they have taken up it very, very easily. IT companies were the most relaxed ones. Only challenge for them might have been, all the people leaving the building and then sitting at home and working from home. But if we talk about SMEs, and if you're talking about somewhat like hydrocarbons or petroleum industry, for example, wherein, this construction industries, wherein the workforce is required to travel, go to a certain place and then do it. And when suddenly everything has stopped, there is a blockage which happened. That is when, the new innovation started coming in. So this sort of change has been positive to 90% of the people, and the 10% of the people who has taken it negatively have not shown any growth in their business in these 6 months. So the more they feel comfortable, the more they are open to the new possibilities, the more they are ready to adapt the digitalization, making themselves and their company digital. That is what is going to help them.
Very beautiful examples that have come in this way. One of the client with whom we are working actually decided to move their entire setup on the cloud, just to ensure that the people who were working in accounts and into purchase department can actually go ahead and start operating from different locations. It also happened to an extent that couple of them were called by their family to come to their respective villages, and they were actually able to go there with a dongle and still connect, and they have been working for last 6 months. And now the management is really wondering whether these guys really need to come to office or they can actually go and still work from their home. There is some another set of challenges in the initial period with some of the senior people. In manufacturing, it typically happens that certain skills, certain information is always there in some very specific pieces. Typically, the managers or the senior managers or the general managers would have some kind of a data regarding bill of material, regarding certain process part, regarding certain compliances, which is always there in those laptops, and nobody probably has the access, so everybody has to call them up to work on that bit. And sometimes people tend to believe that that is the way they show their significance to the organization. In one of such cases wherein this particular challenge happened, and the senior gentleman was actually compelled by his family to stay at home and not to step out, just because of his loyalty to the organization and the very fact that his feelings toward organization mattered far more, and the whole spirit of that ownership of that data came only from the very fact that nobody should nobody should mess up with that particular data. This particular gentleman, just when he realized that probably he may not be able to go back to office pretty soon because of his health condition, actually pulled up his four of his team members together, got the promoter and his son together, and walked them through the complete data that he had stored in his machine, explained them the complete folder, prepared a proper documentation and gave it to them, because for him the company mattered far more compared to his own personal part, his whole personal feelings, his whole sense of belonging or whole sense of ownership towards the organization made him take that particular call and get everybody involved. On the other side, in certain cases, the promoters had to deal with these people very politely, and in certain cases politically also, to ensure that this data was extracted and the digitalization really happened in the organization. Let's look at some of the challenges that we are specifically in places like Mumbai. We have seen all smaller offices having 10 to 12 people, wherein under ideal conditions you could have hardly had 5 or 6 people operating from there. But the space constraint was one of the biggest reasons for any company to have those many people operating from same location. What this particular situation has made the company realize is that they don't really need to have all those many people in the organization. Quite a few of them can work from home and still be equally effective. Another thing that they have realized is that people who are staying too far off need not really come to office daily. They can, instead of spending 2 hours either way in the train, they can actually spend 2 hours from home. Thus, they save 2 hours of their personal time, and then they offer 2 hours additional to the organization. A lot of such realizations are happening in metros, and we are seeing companies encouraging this behavior of working from home uh, pretty actively. However, this work from home opportunity comes with a lot of challenges. While IT is used to it, not many of the people into manufacturing are used to it. And these people operating at the middle class level or at the lower middle class level with a lot of personal constraint and that are finding certain challenges when it comes to meeting or when it comes to digital communication. I would request Anuradha Madam to highlight some of these challenges and guide them regarding how they can personally overcome these challenges, and advise the business owner also regarding what are the cautions that that they should have when they are dealing with this particular workforce.
I totally agree with you, Charul. Like there are hundreds of challenges that every one of them have faced. So the first challenge was the internet, right? And in this time, it was very difficult for them to find a very good internet connection. And initial challenges were too many. But now, after the 6 and 7 months, they got used to that, internet speed. Now, whether it is slow or fast, it doesn't mind. They're doing their job. But the main challenge that I have seen was number of hours that they were working. Because earlier when they used to go to office, they used to get up, they used to get ready, and 1 hour or 2 hours in the traveling, and after that they used to go to office. Maybe 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 or 9 to 8 maximum was the time that they used to work. But after that they used to come back and then they used to relax and they used to have some family time. But now when we are saying that, because you're just staying at home, now the person starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then he starts working and working because he's not aware of number of hours he's putting in. And that actually plays a very important role in your mental health, because by the end of the day you are so exhausted. And after a few days, everyone started complaining that we are having headache, we are not feeling good, I'm feeling very lethargic. okay, really, I don't want to work today. It's because they're not having that work-life balance, which earlier we used to talk about. Now we need to talk about screen-life balance. Because work from home, it's like more of work from screen, and you really need to have that balance to keep yourself mentally fit, because that should not become a hindrance in your productivity and your approach of working. So there are few techniques that I surely would like to share with our viewers. The first thing is, have a small proper setup for yourself. It doesn't matter if you're living in a small single BHK, or you're living in a lavish 3 BHK. You need to have a specific corner for yourself, and then just get up every morning, identify a specific time wherein you really would like to get ready. Just follow your office routine. Get ready, have your breakfast by, whatever time you used to start your work. Half an hour before that is absolutely fine. The 1.5 hours that you're getting, spend time with your family. Have a nice chat with your wife. If you're having parents or in-laws with you, just talk to them for a while. If you're having children, just play with them. If you're, not married, you have friends to connect with. There are hundreds of things that you can put that time, you can invest that time in your physical, activity, doing some exercise, improving your mind and body health, right? And the second thing is, as soon as the time is there, sit, complete your time, take comfortable breaks. Like earlier in office, you used to have a coffee break, lunch break, and a evening snack, chai break, right? You can take that break, but don't take the break half an hour or 45 minutes, but that is what you're going to extend towards the night. So keep as much as possible, take 10 to 15 minutes of break, just get up, go have your tea or coffee, 5 minutes of break, just come back again and then get back to your work. Set a boundary for yourself that after this time, I'm not going to work, because there is no control on yourself. That is when you're going to stress yourself. And that is when you actually are doing multiple things at a time and you're working for 18 to 19 hours a day, all the information that is going into your mind is not going to get processed suddenly. And suddenly you will start feeling the burnout, and then you're going to feel a lot of stress and the blackouts as well. As soon as your boss might be asking you something, you must think, I remember I've done this, but I'm not very sure where it is. So we don't want you to be in that situation. So there are other things like, for the leaders, right? It is more like unlearning more is more. It means that earlier the embedded belief was, um, you know, um, to get ahead, employees must work harder for longer hours. But now the bold new belief could be, to get ahead, employees must relax, they must be recharged, and they are relaxed. Because all these three things, if they take these all three, R3, if they're going to work on it, the productivity is going to be more, the focus is going to be more, and they're going to add a lot of value to whatever work they are doing. Next is, set the boundaries for emails. So, at times we see that you're on a one-to-one mail with someone, conversation with someone, suddenly there is a pop-up email and then you're typing something and then sending. Okay, at times it might be possible that it's a very important email which need not be responded immediately without a thought, right? So don't get confused with that. So set a boundary for email on what time you really would like to work on it, and recheck the response. If you've been in a long meeting, don't go and start writing emails on crucial matters, because that does impact your mindset. Second thing is, if it is required that you can keep your video off, just to change the scene so that you don't feel restricted in the small room with a small screen. Just go to the balcony if it is not very noisy, or go to the portico or to the balcony, or somewhere, some other place other than the room that you're working in, because that will give you, at least that conversation, whatever conversation you would be having, will release you from the stress that you're having in this room, and you will be feel a bit relaxed. At the same time, you're not losing out on the communication part of it. Next thing is reinventing the meetings. So how can you reinvent the meetings? Because earlier it was nice big conference room, all of you sitting on chairs, having a chai and biscuit here, and then a nice conversation, completing the meeting, having a notes. But now the scenario has totally changed. So, for a change, you can try for example, no meeting Fridays, right? Every day you have number of meetings every day with different groups. So on one day you can decide all the communication will be on mails, so that at least one day the person is not stressful about attending a meeting, and that time can be used in doing something else for the company work, right? Next thing is, for every meeting there is an agenda which is required, because at the initial stage it was okay because they had to go for long hours of meeting just to understand how the situation is to be handled. Now the situation is handled, now you know what are the things to be done, everything is streamlining now. But even after that, we are seeing that a lot of companies are going for long hours of meetings. So instead of that, if you have an agenda for the meeting and the time, what is the time which is required for that? If the leader can identify and put that timing there, even the employees are quite sure, and scheduling will be more easy for them. Next comes, allowing a breathing room. We see that, the leaders and the employees are going back to back meetings one after the other. That actually, because now we are not humanly interacting with each other, it is only the screen which is helping us in understanding. There is a lot of information which goes in, and the processing takes a, longer time than in person. So when you go jumping from one meeting to another without the breathing time, that is not going to help you, because all the information is going to get jumbled up, just like an engine which car engine which has run for 100 kilometers and suddenly stopped. Your head is going to be like that, your brain is going to be like that. So you really need to cool down after every meeting. Keep a breathing space in between so that it's helpful for both you and your employees. Next comes, define the camera expectations. When you are asking an employee to switch on the camera, it might be not always possible for him to switch on because of his home environment. If you inform him prior, one day prior, that we're going to have an important meeting and it is required to switch on your video, the person will be psychologically and mentally ready and prepared, and be ready with all the equipment around him, so that he can feel comfortable and participate, give his 100% in the meetings. Next is, distractions. Distractions is something which is quite prominent now, because right now it is quite possible that I'm talking to you and then there is a mobile near me. There is a message which pops up. I really get distracted with that. Or I see that that message just popped up and then I just start typing and then replying to it. Right? So when you're in a one-to-one meeting, it is very much required to focus on what the other person is saying, because as you are getting stressed out with number of screen hours, even the other person is, and you might not have so much of time to understand and then revisit all the information again and again. Small amount of time, that's more than enough to understand. Keep a notes with you. Just keep noting down the points. That will really help you and the other person as well. No, the next thing is unlearning quantity over quality. Now, earlier, in this is in the scenario of mode of communication. Now, earlier embedded belief was to communicate well, leaders must talk more. The more and more pravachan you give, the more and more experiences you're going to give from your life, that is going to help your employees. But now, all have to understand that the screen time is actually being very stressful. They already know about you, they already know about your experiences, they have the feeling that they are being blessed to be in your company. So the new bold belief can be to communicate well. At the same time, leaders must facilitate better conversations so that it is not stressful for the leader and for the employees as well. The owner will be in much more better position because he will get the insights of his employees way more than when he talks about it. Last but not the least, it is about the active listening skills. This is a very important skill which you seriously need to work on. That too, when you're going digital and everything is on screen, you really need to work on is pay attention. When something is happening on screen, when there is a meeting, when there's a conversation, when there is a discussion, keep a notebook and a pen with you. Just note down, because at times it is possible that due to distraction, you might lose out on some point. But this notes that you're going to note down is going to help you a lot. Next is, just be open-minded, because we start judging the other person with the tone that he's speaking with. But the thing is, you really need to give him some space and then think Not every day he speaks like this, no, what is going on? Just giving him a call and then having a normal conversation will set everything right. Otherwise, that should not lead to a conflict. Next is reflect on whatever you're doing, whatever you're talking, whatever the other person is talking. That actually helps you a lot in understanding. Earlier, summarization used to take a lot of time, right? Because each and everyone used to summarize on what are the things that can, that can be done by chat as well. As soon as a person is done, once a meeting is done, take 5 minutes of calm time, ask everyone to just type it down. And then it really helps you because even the other person is thinking, he's processing, he's typing. So there is a lot of conditioning which is happening with which he will remember it in a much better way. Then last but not the least, it is just the exploration has already been done. You have done the engaging part. It is only the thriving part we are working on right now. So all the best for the digitalization.
Thank you so much for these great insights. Remember, people, this is the best time to go for all kind of digitalization. Get your ERPs out, get the ERPs rolled out. People are very keen to have a formalized setup for reporting. This is the best time to go for ERP and ERP implementation because people right now have their own need to ensure that the information is flowing well. So if you're looking at ERP implementation, this is probably the best time to go for the ERP implementation. Look for small set of digital initiatives that you can do. Go about it incrementally, take your team into confidence, and believe me, you would turn out to be a great digital enterprise in a very short span of time. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.